October 18th, 1985, the Nintendo Entertainment System was released in North America, and it changed the video game landscape as we know it forever. This week, it turns 35 years old. We've assembled some fellow retro gamers to talk about 10 amazing NES games that were not celebrated on the NES Classic Edition. What are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking Imperial Grind by Mother's Brewing Company. It's a coffee stout.
You know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload. And sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and let's talk about 10 amazing games on the NES that were not featured on the NES Classic.
Contri, known as the NES Punk, and you are watching Gaming Off the Grid. Right now you're on the grid watching on YouTube though, so you have power and electricity.
It's hard to believe it's been 35 years since the Nintendo Entertainment System came out in North America. It came out before I was born. I was born in '86, and I feel pretty old.
I feel super old, and it came out way before I was born.
Yeah.
Dude, this is my first console I ever played was the NES. It's insane because we're still playing it in 2020. That's crazy.
There's
man.
a good chance anybody watching, this may have been your first experience with video games, and it shaped your mind and your video game love around that console for generations to come. The idea for this episode came up thinking back to our Console Madness episode. We received some comments from some folks that said that the NES didn't have a very good library, and there wasn't a lot of good games that hold up on the NES with some things we heard. And it got me to think that maybe some modern gamers who maybe have only dabbled with things that have been on like the Wii Online Shop or maybe the NES Classic
Switch Shop,
and maybe they got this and was like, I like the Mario games, but maybe the other games aren't that great. So we're like, you know what? Let's talk about 10 games, assemble some retro gamers that are also on YouTube who have very good opinions, and talk about games that were not on the NES Classic that are amazing games that you need to play. I think we kick this thing off with, in my humble opinion, I think yours as well, the best retro gamer that I have ever met in my entire life. If you guys haven't checked out Megadan29, I mean, he's no death games that are almost humanly impossible to beat, let alone no death run.
Crazy.
So we've got a bunch of other YouTubers that are going to chime in as well, but I think it's only fitting to let the NES master himself kick it off. Take it away, Megadan.
What's up, guys? It's Megadan29, and one of the fondest memories I have with the NES is definitely from this game, Friday the 13th. However, this is not one of my favorite games, but it's a really good game. I do like it a lot. But the memory I have with it is so strong, and it has to do with my mom. And what happened was, I borrowed this from a friend, and this is the actual copy. He actually let me keep it. And I was sitting here playing it, and I started going in the houses and trying to discover what to do. And I really didn't understand about lighting the fireplaces and stuff like that back in the day, so I would just get the hatchet and I would fight him with it. And going into the houses always scared me, how he popped out at you and stuff like that. And I got all the way to the third day, and it was always me checking back behind me, seeing if my mom was still sleeping on the couch, because I would get so scared when I first walked into the cabin and I knew Jason was in there, and he would just scare me every time. I was incredibly young playing this. I would probably say around 6 or 7. And I had so much fun playing it, and I didn't beat it until I started my YouTube channel, and we got through it with a no counselor left behind run, a no death run. And it was really cool to get this one off the list, and just a really cool memory of my mom in the house, and just remembering my old house and how I used to play games and my old tube TV and stuff like that. So that's what I got. Thanks for letting me be a part of this, guys. Check you later.
All right, Gachi. You want to know the Rexter Show's fondest memories of the NES and the best game left off the NES Classic? Well, if you follow the Rexter Show, you know I love my hockey games. So it's got to be a hockey game that was the best left off. How about some ice hockey original with the skinny medium and fat dudes, or maybe some Blades of Steel? Oh, those were great games. But do they make the best? You'd be surprised. Not on Rexter Show's list. How about some hoops, buddy? Maybe a little bit of basketball, maybe a little double dribble. Oh, hitting those threes in the corner, you gotta love that. But no, it's not a hoops game. Well, how about a little baseball? You can't go wrong with a little Baseball Stars 2. Just don't forget to hit that reset button while you power the thing off or you'll lose your data. I know, it was my favorite, RBI Baseball. What a great game with those matchups with Houston's pitching and Detroit's hitting. Oh man, did we have some epic battles in RBI baseball. But guess what? It's not any of those sports, right? It's got to be football, a little bit of football. What's the best game on left off the NESC? It's football related, and you guessed it, it's 10-yard fight. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Of course, it's Tecmo Super Bowl. It was the first game to have NFL license and the Players Association license, so you had your favorite NFL team no matter what on there. Oh man, epic battles of KC's Christian Okoye versus Bill's Thurman Thomas. It had improved gameplay with 8 plays instead of 4. It had randomized fumbles. It had cutscenes. And best of all, it had stats that it kept, as well as season mode. Who doesn't remember taking kickoffs back to the 1-yard line so you could get more rushing yards for your running back? There's people today still playing online, and you can check them out at the Tecmo Super Bowl Discord online group. You think you're good at the game? Go play those guys. That's the best game that was left off the NES Classic, guys. Take that to the bank.
Hey, look at me. I'm Gabbo the Giver.
Hey, what's up? Gaming Off the Grid. Thank you so much for having me with you again. I'm Gabbo from Pixel Game Squad, and today I'm gonna talk about an NES game. This game, I think, in my humble opinion, I think is very underrated. Not everybody like it. Of course, the arcade version is the best one, but the NES version is really good. And I was sad because I was expecting to see it in the Mini NES, but sadly it didn't make it. And I'm talking about, oh yeah, what I love about this game is amazing, in my humble opinion. First, it reminds me a lot of Ghosts and Goblins and Kung Fu Master. I love the music. It's that kind of 8-bit music that stick with you. The gameplay is really good. I love it. Classic sword and shield, 2D side scrolling, and it's super hard. I don't know if I ever told you, to be honest. I never finished this game, so I think it's about time. So anyways, again, thank you so much. And Nintendo, do me a favor next time. If you guys are gonna do a Mini NES, please add this beautiful game. Happiness.
Hey nerdlings, Tom of Do You Nerd here. Let's talk NES. Like Metal Storm. Now, this was a fun side-scrolling action game. You get to shoot some baddies and everything, but it has a fun and unique gimmick where you can either be on the floor or the ceiling, and you don't even have to turn your television upside down. Now, not only does it have that fun, simple, but unique mechanic to it, but the problem is, this thing is pricey. All the more reason to put it on the NES Classic. That way more people get a chance to play a game that otherwise they may not get to, and this is a great, unique, fun game to play.
What's up guys, I'm JLove81, and some of the fondest memories I have with the NES definitely is spending time with family and friends. I played baseball, yes, baseball, Gyromite, even with Rob the Robot, Super Mario Brothers, all these wonderful games with tons of my family, including my dad, who doesn't play video games, but he did play baseball, Punch Out, all those wonderful games with me. I even remember going to a friend's house and playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the first time, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and Super Mario Brothers 3, which he had before I did, so we played that so much. Those memories will forever live in my heart, and that's why I have such a soft spot for the NES. Definitely one of my favorite consoles of all time. Now, one of the games that I think should have been on the NES Classic is definitely Adventure Island. Even though it's an adaptation of the arcade game Wonder Boy and Sega Master System, they did such an awesome job on this game. You play Master Higgins having to save your girlfriend Tina from the evil witch doctor. It's a platformer game, which is what I love best. Definitely difficult, dodging all kinds of platforms, dodging all kinds of enemies, and then you start off with a hammer, and if you lose that, you are in trouble. It is tough, but so much fun. It spawned so many sequels, Adventure Island 2, 3, the 4th one in Japan. It also had the Super Adventure Island on the Super Nintendo, as well as the second version, Super Adventure Island 2. Also had the Wonder Boy remix, which just came out last year on the Nintendo Switch and PS4. Tons and tons of fun. You have the new Adventure Island, which came on the TurboGrafx 16 as well as the Wii U. So many Game Boy games. I mean, it's just never ending with this series. So definitely really, really, really nostalgic and a ton of fun. And the funny part is I just discovered that game a few years back. So I wish I had it as a kid. And I think that would have made a great game to include in the NES Classic. So thank you, Robert and Wes, for including me in this video. I'll talk to you guys later.
35 years ago, Mario graced this world. You know who else graced this world 35 years ago? Another legend right here. 35 this year. Two legends born in the same year. Coincidence? I think not. I have a couple nostalgic memories of the NES. One is a game that many people probably haven't played, Ivan Stewart's Off-Road Racing. And this was fun because we got to like level 26, my dad and I were playing co-op, and I got eliminated. I sucked. But my dad, he was grinding away, had his probably Bud Light in his hand. He was getting taken to town, but he kept his head in the game and he kept going, got to level 99, and we could feel it. Oh my gosh, we're gonna beat the game. What's gonna happen? Absolutely nothing. The 99 rolled over to level 1 and you start over. The game was gonna troll you. You were never gonna beat this game. It was gonna beat you by exhaustion. My dad said he won, turned it off, and that was that. Never played it again. But for me, TMNT 2, the arcade game, is one of my favorite games, and the memory behind it is that as a kid growing up in the arcades, your arcade ports to the NES were typically pretty trashy. But this one, I could see right through that filter. My cousin came over after years of Master Splinter's training. One night we stayed up way past our bedtime. We put this game in, we went level by level, we dissected it, we used our ninja skills, and we destroyed Shredhead. We jumped up triumphantly, we chest bumped, we slapped hands, probably gave him a kiss, I don't know, and we beat TMNT 2, the arcade game. One of the best beat 'em ups on the system. Many people have played it, but for me, holds a very special place in my heart.
Hey nerdlings, you want to know what game I would have put on the NES Classic that didn't make it? Q*bert. That is one of my all-time favorite arcade games. It is so much fun, there's so much fun nostalgia for it, and it really should have been on there. I mean, they put Pac-Man on there, why not put Q*bert on there? I love playing it. Anytime I have a chance to play it, I'll play it, even on my cell phone. And that to me is what is so great about the NES Classic, is because you turn it on, you're like, oh, I don't know what to play, you scroll through, ooh, Q*bert, play it for a few 10 minutes, then you move on to something else. It's a great game that you can just play, pick it up, leave it, you don't have to get involved in a story, and who doesn't want to play something that has such a potty mouth?
What's up, YouTube? It's me, your guy, TBelly here. Shout out to God G. Thanks for letting me be a part of this video. Happy 35th anniversary to the NES. One of my fondest memories of this console was not only the whole month that I played this game right here with my mom. I was just a little boy, and I played this game with my mom back in 1988, possibly 89. I don't remember, maybe 88. And it was such a fun experience, man. And me and my mom together, we took down every dungeon. We took down Ganon, and it was just a special moment. Very special moment, man. Very, very special moment. I became a fan of this series from that moment. It took 1 month for us to beat the game together, but me and my mother actually beat this game together. And if I had to put one game on the NES Classic, that's not the NES Classic. I would love to say Castlevania 3, but that's a game I played for the very first time in 2020. So if I go back to my memories, there was this one classic game that had this little evil guy named Julio. Look at that face. That face is evil. But this game is classic. Who did not play Paperboy back in the NES days? This is a game that I really feel should have been on the NES Classic. And I wish they would have put it on. I think this is one of those games that it might not have been a first party NES game, Nintendo game, but it was such a traditional game, such a classic game, and I wish they had this on the NES Classic. So that's about it for me, guys. Cheers.
Wow, some very awesome games selected there. I had a feeling a few of those were going to sneak in there, but there are some other games, and it's fun hearing people's experiences and stories. You know, you have Telesplash playing, you know, Ninja Turtles, the arcade game with his friends.
And of course, he had to freaking wear a costume.
Yeah,
of course
you know,
he did.
That's why we call him the Trollster. But so many great games that did not make it onto the NES Classic, and I think it's super imperative when you start playing a console that maybe you didn't grow up with. to go into it with an open mind, because many times there is more than meets the eye. I'm thinking, you know, I grew up with the NES. I feel like I've got a knowledge that I would put up against a lot of people of what that console had to offer. And since we started this YouTube channel, I've found out about games that I never gave the time of day. You know, right away, Heavy Barrel or Heavy Butthole comes to mind.
Yeah.
I had rented it a couple times as a kid, didn't really understand it, so I was just like, oh, the game sucks. You know, Guerrilla Wars. I think about Gunsmoke. I'm just kind of going through some of the games we've picked up. Power Blade. I never played Power Blade or Power Blade 2 growing up. Amazing games. But before we talk about the two games that we would add to the NES Classic Edition that we think need to be played, I think we need to talk about this.
Yes, let's talk about this. This is the Imperial Grind Coffee Stout by Mother's Brewing Company. This guy comes in at 10.5.
You know, I really like this beer. This is, I feel like before stouts started getting crazy with barrel aging and all this crazy stuff, this is just a good traditional coffee stout.
Yes, dude, this has a great coffee taste, a great stout taste. It's simple, but it's exactly what it needs to be. This is it's like the NES, man. This is like exactly what it should be.
And I love whatever coffee they used. It price says on the bottle. We didn't take the time to read it, but there's just it's a really good, robust coffee. It's
roasty.
Yeah, it is. It just this tastes really good. If you're a coffee stout fan, you wouldn't want to miss this one. It's very good. Mother's Brewery's out of Springfield, Missouri.
Yes, and Mother's, man, so good.
They are a very good brewery. So let's talk about two games that we would add to the NES Classic Edition, or that we think need to be played by folks that maybe missed them back in the day.
Alright, so my game we just discovered in 2020, or at least I did. I think you dabbled with it when you were younger.
Single player mode, which it's in my mind, it's a different game playing it two player. It adds a lot more fun because of the teamwork aspect.
Yes, and so it's a co-op game by Konami, and that is Jackal. Oh my god, dude. This is a tank shmup, basically.
But you're in a Jeep.
Well, it's a tank. It shoots missiles. I guess it's a Jeep, because you're going off-road.
Yeah.
But, dude, Jackal, such a great co-op game. It's a short game, but it's really hard. It's really fun. I love how you can save people. There's different mechanics. You have the main shoot, and then you can missile. You can arc things over walls. You can upgrade your missiles. What a simple concept. It's just kind of like Contra, but in Jeep form.
Yeah.
Like, Konami was on fire back then.
I love the two shooting mechanics.
Yes.
I love that not only are they different bullets that deliver different damages, obviously, but your main gun, you can only shoot up the screen. But your missile or grenade, you can shoot in almost a 365-degree pattern. I believe you have 8 directions you can shoot it in. Let's see, 4, I think it's 8 directions you can shoot it in. It's really cool. It's a really cool dynamic. I don't know, and there probably is, but I don't know of another game that only offers one direction on your main gun and then the multitude of directions with the harder to hit weapon being the grenade or the missile.
Dude, this game is so addicting, so much fun. We've live streamed it plenty of times, so if you've been following the channel, you knew we were going to talk about Jackal.
Yeah.
I think this was our game of the month a couple months ago. Like, I can't stop playing this, and it's a new game I discovered for the NES in 2020, 35 years later.
I think one thing that, you know, this may be a whole other episode topic somewhere down the line, but the feeling of beating some of these retro games, there's nothing on the current landscape that really speaks to it.
Yeah.
I think I've used the analogy before. I feel like most modern games can be beaten by anybody that has the time to do so.
Yep, it's all about just putting the time.
Doesn't mean they're a bad experience, but it's we're getting a lot more cinematic, pick up and play type of stuff, where you've got to freaking put the work in to beat a game like Jackal.
And if you get a game over, you have to start over and go through all the levels again.
Yeah.
And with these types of games, we're still working on it. We're trying to no death run it, which is even harder because you get to the 3rd level and you die and you go, well, damn it, reset. Here we go.
It's just that feeling of accomplishment that I think is maybe missing a little bit on the modern side. There are some games that break that mold, Cuphead, Mega Man 11, etc.
Guys, we freaking did it, dude. Robert freaking won the game.
The game that I am going to pick, you guys might think this is a little bit of a cop-out, so I threw out some other games earlier in the episode because I wanted to kind of buff it a little bit, give you some other options. I feel like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! He's one of the biggest glaring holes on the NES Classic.
Punch-Out's on the NES Classic.
But it's not Punch-Out! It is Punch-Out!, but it's after Mike Tyson was removed from the game because I think he did some bad boy things. But there's something to be said. Now, Mr. Dream plays exactly like Tyson, but the folklore around beating Mike Tyson on the playground, if you grew up during this time frame and heard that someone beat Mike Tyson, your initial instinct is, they're a fucking liar. No, you didn't, dude. You didn't beat Tyson. I gotta come over to your house and watch you beat Tyson.
Beat him right now. Beat him in front of me.
Yeah, because it was that hard of a thing to do, especially as kids. I mean, there's adults who still can't get it done to this very day. I think Mike Tyson goes down in Nintendo history, which is why I'm advocating for him to be added to Smash Bros.
Ooh, that'd be sweet.
As I think he is one of, up with Bowser, the most notorious boss fights of all time. Now, I may be speaking with a little bit of bias because of how much I love this game, but there's just something lackluster and missing when you remove the guy that was on top of the world in the boxing realm from the game. It was the ultimate accomplishment to beat Mike Tyson. I will never forget when I beat him. I think I was 8 or 9 years old, freaking out. And my dad loved this game. My dad didn't even believe me. My dad's like, dude,
No,
like,
you didn't.
Did you really? And I won by decision my first time. And my dad was blown away. I was blown away. And I've never had an accomplishment, I don't think, in gaming, and we've had a lot, that takes me back to that moment when I first beat Tyson.
And you're like,
dude,
I did it.
I felt like such a badass because of a video game. I was just like, dude, I'm the best gamer in town. Like, I was the only kid that I knew who had legitimately beat him. There were the kids who said they did, of course, but this game is sorely missed on the NES Classic because Mr. Dream, I'm sorry, he's no Mike Tyson. That's like replacing Bowser in a Mario game with some other fictional character that doesn't belong. It just doesn't feel right.
I get why they did it, and I understand because of legal issues, and he bit someone's ear off and did other bad things.
I think this was more the rape case, but
well,
yeah.
That's why I said other bad things. I didn't want to say the R word on here, but there it is. But he's back in boxing nowadays, so like, I feel like you gotta forgive him. And dude, it's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like that's so iconic. That's a great pick, but I think people will get upset because that is a kind of a cop-out.
Hey.
But I get what you mean.
It is what it is. I think this game needs to be revisited by Nintendo in more ways than one. You have Little Mac in Smash Bros. Why don't we have Bald Bull? Why can't Bald Bull charge down the screen? He morphs into his 8-bit form and who doesn't remember Bald Bull? I don't know. I could go on and on about this, but thanks so much to all the other content creators that joined us.
So much.
This is a celebration episode of the Nintendo Entertainment System, turning 35 years old, trying to get you, the viewer, to see some NES games that you may have missed, because again, we got comments during Console Madness that said, the NES doesn't have that many good games. Bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit. Anyways, awesome console. We'll leave links in the description below to all the content creators that joined us today. Thanks again to all of those folks. Awesome retro gamers, and the most important thing is they're all awesome people. We always appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. We'll see you next time right here on Gaming Off the Grid. Don't sleep on the NES, folks.
What will the future bring from Nintendo? More hits like The Legend of Zelda. Sports hits like ice hockey. Nintendo has the most video game hits like Hogan's Alley and Donkey Kong Classics, and more like Excite Bike and RC Pro-Am. And you can play them only on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.